The council chamber fell silent when Ambassador Chun walked through the massive golden doors for the last time. 12 alien species sat in their elevated seats, looking down at the single human representative with expressions ranging from disgust to complete indifference. The Valari High Speaker, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 eyes, raised his hand to begin the final vote. The Galactic Federation has deliberated for 3 standard cycles, the High Speaker announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. On the matter of humanity's continued membership, we have reached our decision. Chun stood alone in the center of the room. Behind him, through the transparent walls, he could see Earth floating in the distance. His home, his people, everything he had fought to protect for the past decade of negotiations. The vote is 11-1 against, the High Speaker continued. Humanity is hereby expelled from the Galactic Federation, effective immediately. All trade agreements are terminated. All military alliances are dissolved. All technology sharing programs are canceled. Chun did not flinch. He had expected this outcome. The Federation had never truly accepted humanity. They called humans primitive, aggressive, and dangerous. They said human emotions made them unpredictable. They claimed human ambition would eventually threaten the stability of the galaxy. May I speak? Chun asked calmly. You may not, the Valari responded. This session is concluded. Human vessels have 48 standard hours to leave Federation space. Any human ship found in our territory after that time will be destroyed without warning. The other representatives began to leave their seats. The craft delegation, massive insectoid creatures with armored shells, clicked their mandibles in satisfaction. The Urani, small beings made of living crystal, floated away without a second glance. The Dazari, who had once called themselves humanity's allies, refused to meet Chun's eyes as they departed. Only one representative remained. Elder Voss of the Ramnari, an ancient species with pale blue skin and kind eyes, approached Chen slowly. I voted in your favor, Voss said quietly. For what little it was worth. I know, Chun replied. And humanity will remember your kindness. What will your people do now? Voss asked with genuine concern. Chum looked at the old alien for a long moment. Then he smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We will survive, Elder Voss. That is what humans do best. And one day, perhaps sooner than anyone expects, the Federation will understand exactly what they have thrown away. Chum turned and walked out of the chamber without looking back. The news spread across Earth within hours. Protests erupted in every major city. People demanded answers. They demanded justice. They demanded revenge. But the governments of Earth knew better than to act rashly. Instead, they gathered in secret meetings and began to plan. Admiral Sarah Wright stood before the United Earth Council 3 days after the expulsion. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles against impossible odds. We have 2 choices, she said to the assembled leaders. We can accept our fate and slowly decline into irrelevance. Or we can become something the Federation never imagined we could be. What exactly are you proposing? The President of the European Confederation asked. The Federation rejected us because they thought we were weak, Wright explained. They believed we needed them more than they needed us. I propose we prove them wrong. I propose we build our own empire. With what resources? The Chinese premier demanded. They cut off our access to hyperspace fuel. They banned us from every trading post. They even took back the technology they had given us. Wright smiled. They took back what they gave us, yes. But they never understood what we had learned on our own. They never paid attention to our scientists, our engineers, our dreamers. They thought we were just copying their work. They were very, very wrong. Over the next 50 years, humanity did exactly what the Federation feared most. They evolved. They adapted. They grew stronger. Without access to Federation hyperspace technology, human scientists developed their own method of faster-than-light travel. They called it the fold drive, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While Federation ships moved through established hyperspace lanes, limited to fixed routes and predictable speeds, human ships could fold space itself. They could appear anywhere in the galaxy in seconds. They were completely untraceable. Without access to Federation weapons, human engineers created new tools of war. They developed plasma cannons that could burn through any known armor. They built ships that could repair themselves during battle. They designed artificial intelligences that could coordinate entire fleets with perfect precision. Without access to Federation medicine, human biologists unlocked the secrets of their own genetic code. They eliminated disease. They extended human lifespan to 300 years. They enhanced human strength and speed and intelligence. And without access to Federation resources, humanity spread across the stars in ways the galaxy never expected. They found worlds the Federation had ignored. They built colonies and systems that other species considered worthless. They discovered deposits of rare elements that nobody else had bothered to look for. Humanity became an empire of 200 worlds, while the Federation watched in growing alarm. Ambassador Chun, now an old man approaching his final years, watched the transformation with pride. He had retired from diplomacy long ago, but he kept himself informed. He followed every news report. He celebrated every human achievement. And he waited patiently for the day he knew would come. That day arrived on a quiet morning in spring, 63 years after the expulsion. The swarm came from beyond the galactic rim. Nobody knew where they had originated. Nobody knew what they wanted. All anyone knew was that they were hungry, and they were unstoppable. The first Federation world to fall was Valari Prime, the very planet where Chun had been cast out decades before. The swarm descended in ships that blotted out the sun. Billions of creatures poured onto the surface, consuming everything in their path. The proud Valari military lasted less than a day. Within months, 30 Federation worlds had been destroyed. Trillions of lives were lost. The combined fleet of all 11 Federation species gathered for a final stand at the Thesari homeworld, and they were annihilated in a battle that lasted only 6 hours. The Federation was dying, and they knew it. Chun was sitting in his garden when the message arrived. A Federation diplomatic vessel had entered the Sol system, requesting an audience with humanity's leaders. They were begging for help. "I think you should be there," Admiral Wright said when she came to deliver the news personally. She was old now, too, her hair white and her body fragile, but her eyes still held that same sharp intelligence. "You deserve to see this." Chun nodded slowly. "Yes," he agreed. "I believe I do." The Federation delegation arrived on Earth 3 days later. High Speaker Mora of the Valari led them, a young successor to the one who had expelled humanity so long ago. With him came representatives from every remaining Federation species. They looked broken. They looked terrified. They looked desperate. The meeting took place in New Geneva, in the great hall that humanity had built after their expulsion. The room was filled with human representatives, military officers, and ordinary citizens who had been invited to witness history. Chun sat in the front row, watching as High Speaker Mora walked to the center of the chamber. The alien's silver skin had lost its shine. His 4 eyes were red from exhaustion and grief. "We come before humanity with great humility," Mora began, his voice cracking. "We have made terrible mistakes. We cast you out when we should have embraced you. We called you primitive when you were simply different. We feared your potential when we should have celebrated it." The room remained silent. "The swarm has destroyed half of our civilization," Mora continued. "Our fleets are gone. Our armies are scattered. We have nothing left to offer but our apology and our plea for mercy." He paused, gathering his strength for what came next. "We are begging you," he said, and then he did something that no Valari had ever done before a lesser species. He dropped to his knees. "Please help us. Please save what remains of our people. We will give you anything. We will accept any terms. Just please, Do not let us die." The other Federation representatives followed his lead, kneeling on the cold floor of the human hall. Creatures who had once looked down on humanity with contempt now bowed their heads in surrender. Chun felt something complicated move through his heart. He had waited for this moment for 60 years. He had imagined it countless times. He had expected it to feel like victory. Instead, it felt like sadness. President Martinez of the United Earth Government rose from her seat and walked to the center of the chamber. She was young for a leader, barely 90 years old, but she carried herself with quiet authority. "Stand up," she said to the kneeling aliens. "All of you, stand up." They obeyed, confusion and hope mixing in their eyes. "Humanity remembers what you did to us," Martinez continued. "We remember the rejection. We remember the insults. We remember being told that we were not worthy of standing beside you in the stars." Mora lowered his head in shame. "But we also remember something else," Martinez said. "We remember that one of you voted to keep us. We remember Elder Voss of the Remnari, who showed us kindness when nobody else would. And we remember something that the Federation never understood about humanity." She paused, looking at the assembled aliens with an expression that was impossible to read. "We remember how to forgive." A wave of stunned silence washed through the room. "Humanity will help you," Martinez announced. "Not because you deserve it, not because we owe you anything, but because that is who we are. When we see suffering, we act. When we see injustice, we fight. When we see people in need, we help. That is what makes us human." Admiral Wright stood up from her seat. "Our fleets will deploy within the week. Our soldiers will stand beside yours. Our scientists will share every weapon, every technology, every advantage we have developed during our time alone. Together, we will defeat the swarm." Mora stared at the humans with something approaching awe. "Why?" he whispered. "After everything we did to you, why would you help us?" Chun stood slowly, his old joints protesting the movement. He walked forward until he was standing face to face with the Valari High Speaker. "Because 60 years ago, I told your predecessor that one day the Federation would understand what they had thrown away," Chun said quietly. "I did not mean our technology. I did not mean our military power. I meant this." He placed a weathered hand on Mora's shoulder. "I meant our humanity." The war against the swarm lasted 3 years. Human ships appeared in every battle, their full drives allowing them to strike without warning and disappear before the enemy could respond. Human soldiers fought on the front lines, their enhanced bodies and brilliant tactics turning impossible defeats into unlikely victories. Human scientists developed new weapons that could target the swarm's hive mind directly. In the end, humanity did not just save the Federation. They saved the entire galaxy. When the final swarm ship was destroyed and the last hive queen was killed, the universe had changed forever. Humanity stood at the center of a new galactic order, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The species that had once been cast aside was now the foundation upon which civilization itself depended. And in the rebuilt council chamber of the Galactic Federation, a new statue stood in the center of the room. It showed a human hand reaching down to help a fallen figure rise to its feet. The inscription below it reads simply, "Humanity remembers." Chun never saw the statue. He passed away peacefully in his garden a year before it was unveiled. But his great-granddaughter attended the ceremony, and when she read those words carved in stone, she smiled and whispered to herself. "Yes," she said softly, "we do